Good morning, world, and all La Voce readers. This is Edward Bevilacqua, editor of La Voce, and I'm sitting here with Jim Donofrio, the CEO of Trident Construction. Good morning,
Good morning.
Jim. Thank you. And so this is a hangout on air. And Jim, thank you for taking the time. I know you're very busy, got a lot of projects going. And so let's just jump right into it.
Sure.
Okay. So Jim, you moved here. Well, let's start with your family is from what part of Italy?
Well, on my mom's side is from Sicily and from around Naples, and then on my dad's side, both sets of grandparents were from around Naples.
Okay, and they came over to the United States and ended up where?
In New York.
Okay,
and,
New York. What part?
Well, in the city and in Queens.
Okay, Queens. And so is that where you were born?
I was born in Flushing.
Flushing.
Yeah, actually, I was born in Manhasset, which is on Long Island, but we lived in Queens until we moved out here.
Okay, and now I seem to recall your dad was a pretty good baseball player.
He was. He was scouted by the Yankees, and he had an opportunity to go into their farm system, but he was going to make probably $200 more a month, basically doing construction rather than doing the baseball.
I see. And so your dad was in the construction business.
Right. And he started out with Dick Corporation and as a project manager, superintendent. And then they started their own company in, I believe it was 1968.
Okay. And so I'm going to skip forward a couple years. So how old were you when you moved to Las Vegas?
I was 10.
10. And I think you said you weren't really happy about having to leave.
No, I mean, I didn't want to leave because all my friends were there. And
yeah. Typical 10-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, we had a house and we lived in the suburbs and everything was close and our family was there. And
had you visited here at all?
No, we never
Okay.
kind of sight unseen.
How about your dad?
My mom and dad had come here several times over the years.
Okay.
On vacation.
Okay. To see friends and they liked
Right.
it.
Right.
Okay. And so the first day you arrived, what happened?
First day arrived, we went and had.
What time of the year was it?
It was September.
Okay, so it was still warm.
Right, and the first thing we did, we went and had lunch over at the top of the Landmark, and then we went to the Circus and played on the Circus games.
Okay.
When they used to have all the sideshow games over there.
Oh, okay.
And then that was it. We went back to our house after that.
So your dad, before you guys moved out, he already had your house set up and
yes,
furniture was moved?
Yep.
Okay.
We had a townhouse, basically.
Okay. And when did you first start liking it here?
I guess, you know what, I really know. I guess it was over time, but it was a very different place from where I'd grown up. I mean, we used to go out and play in the desert all the time. There was a lot of open space that we'd never had in New York. And it was basically when we came here, I mean, we can go out behind where a house was and there was open desert and play out there. And we were outside all the time.
And as opposed to New York, it was just buildings everywhere?
Well, it was not that it was just buildings, but it's there wasn't any open space. It was basically house after house.
Okay. And so your dad came out here to be in the construction business?
Yes.
Okay. He had it all lined up with people he knew?
Yeah. I mean, he knew John Pashota, who at that time was the head of the building department.
Okay.
And they were high school friends.
Oh.
And then the first job that he did was Village East Drugs, that shopping center on Eastern and Trop. And he also built out the first bootlegger for Lorraine Hunt.
And so when your dad came here, did he start his own company?
Well, he just basically started up as Trident Construction, but it was Trident Construction in New York as well.
Okay. So he was in business there. Mm-hmm. He moved the business out here.
Right.
Got his license, or did you even need license?
Oh, yeah, he needed a license. Okay. We have actually one of the older licenses that are still active.
I see. Okay, like the Angelo Casaro.
Right.
Probably has an old license.
Right.
Okay. So, and you're in the construction business.
Yes.
Are you doing the same type of stuff?
Pretty much. Our family on my dad's side were all builders. Okay. So my both great grandfathers were stonemasons. In fact, one became a general contractor, but my grandfather on my grandmother's side was a stonemason, but he ended up being a mailman. But he was actually came over here to work on the Flatiron Building in New York. So
okay. And did your dad do any stonework?
No, he was basically he started out as an excavation and substructure contractor.
I see.
And then basically turned into a general contractor.
Okay. One of our other people I interviewed is in the restaurant business, but he's from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
His dad was a mason. He built a few homes. And he said, I said, well, this is Frank Bonanno from Fifth Avenue Restaurant Group. I said, well, Frank, why didn't you get in the construction business? He said, well, you know, when you're doing stonework, it's heavy work.
Right.
It's not fun during the winter.
Right.
And his dad, he said, liked to use used brick. And his job as a 10-year-old was to knock all the mortar off the bricks.
Right.
And so you didn't have that negative experience.
No, well, I mean, I started out when I was 14 as a laborer, and then worked all the way through school in the summers, and basically became like a carpenter and layout. And that's how I kind of started in the business with him. So
okay. And did you work with your dad? See him on the job sites? Or?
My dad was not a handy person, so he didn't work with his hands. I like working with my hands.
Okay.
I can't do it anymore. As I got older, I realized I didn't want to do that, and I couldn't do it. I mean, I wasn't big enough, and my body type wasn't really conducive to lifting sheets of drywall and carrying them upstairs. And
but you know how to do it.
Yes.
And you did it when you were young.
Did it when I had to.
So when you go on a job site now, you know what's involved.
Right.
Okay. And so you laughed, I chuckled a little bit when I mentioned your dad in there. Was that just because he wasn't a hands-on guy?
He was hands-on.
He was very hands-on in a different way.
Right. It was more of a business sense than on the technical side. And I like the more hands-on on the labor side.
Now, I seem to remember your dad. Didn't he get his degree in engineering or something
he
like that?
He had a degree in engineering.
Okay, so
it was basically a construction management degree at that time.
Okay, and so he knew that side.
Right.
But your dad was also a very savvy business guy.
Oh yeah.
And what lessons did you learn from him? Did you follow his way of doing business?
No, I mean we had a very different way of kind of thinking in our thought processes, and he was very savvy with numbers.
Okay.
And I'm more of a conceptual person, so he and I, that was kind of the root of a lot of our butting heads when growing up.
Got it.
And but the things that I did learn from him obviously was the work ethic, hard work, and word is your bond.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the people that we have worked with over the years, I still do business with on a handshake. So.
I remember your dad as being a pretty vocal person too.
Oh, he was definitely vocal.
And if you knew where he stood.
Yes, very opinionated. And I consider myself to be opinionated, but I'm not as vocal as he was.
Okay, so, and I think that was, my little experience with your dad, it served him well most of the time.
Right.
Unless you got around somebody who had a very weak personality that was kind of passive aggressive.
Right.
They wouldn't stand up to him, but then they would go try to do things. And
right.
And how are you regarding that?
I'm a little bit more reserved and subdued. I mean, I think that over the years I've mellowed out because I used to be pretty volatile.
Okay.
But I've learned that I don't need to be.
Got it. So you learn the lessons that they needed to do then.
Right.
Doesn't really work all the time here.
I mean, that was a different time.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of people that were screamers and yellers, and especially being from back east, it's still a lot like that back there. But I mean, now it's more, construction is more of a business than it is kind of like I wouldn't say hobby. It would be more like a lifestyle.
So what would they do 30 years ago if they had stone at the dock in Long Beach that they couldn't get out?
I don't know, but I know that if somebody wasn't moving fast enough, there would definitely be words exchanged.
Sure. So Okay, so you've been here in Las Vegas for a while. How has it changed for the better?
That it's much more cosmopolitan now. It
Yeah.
was more honky tonk back then.
Okay.
There was a lot of, we couldn't get things. It was hard to get the things that we were used to in New York.
Yeah.
We couldn't get like decent food and
Sure.
and
Right.
that kind of stuff. But
Well,
that's
kind of
really has changed.
It's kind of
a
an
lot for the
oasis in the desert still, right?
It is.
I mean, you drive 90 miles.
Yeah.
Well, let's see, you have to drive how many miles to get somewhere else here?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, that's the great thing about Las Vegas that I like personally. It's very convenient. We go to California a lot. So, it's a 3-hour drive to get to the beach.
Yeah.
But
between here and there.
Right. There's nothing.
Right.
There's the big thermometer.
Exactly. Yeah. So you could stop in Baker. So when you were growing up, a lot of the roads just came to an end.
Yeah.
Right.
When we used to go to LA, we used to drive down Eastern all the way out to basically where St. Rose Parkway is, and then make a right and get on the 15.
And what was St. Rose then?
That was the not Blue Diamond. It was the Boulder Highway cutoff or Boulder City cutoff, or something like that.
So left you go Boulder City, right? You go to the 15.
Right.
Okay, got it. And what do you say in terms of Las Vegas? In terms of they build things here that they don't build anywhere in the world. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think people, and it served me because I've traveled throughout the world, and we do construction here faster, better, and much more detailed, and a lot more interesting than anywhere else that I've ever been.
I see.
I think that the architecture here is people don't realize the amount of effort that goes into a lot of the things, and how much thought goes into the way a lot of the hotels are designed.
I see. Well, I did an interview with someone, and they were talking about their relatives came over from Italy, and they went to the Venetian, and they just could not believe how magnificent it was.
Right.
Even though it's not marble, but
right.
There's no other place like that in the world.
No. It's and everything is new. Over there, like in Europe, everything is older.
Yeah.
But the kind of workmanship and the kind of attention to detail and really the scale of the construction is much more than anywhere else, other than maybe New York and some places in the East. I went to Dubai, and I was shocked to see, when you get up close to everything, how everything was kind of thrown together.
I see. Right. So here, so that stuff really looks good from afar.
Yeah, 10-footer.
Okay.
From 10 feet away, it looks
okay. Good. But so would you say this is the major leagues of construction?
Oh yeah,
that
definitely. There are guys here that I would put up against anywhere in the world.
And that makes sense, because again, you have these huge things. I think I remember reading City Center was the largest construction project, meaning most people working on it since the Hoover Dam.
Right.
That there was, 1,000 guys or something working on there at one particular time. Yeah. And that went up pretty quickly, right? Yeah,
it was tough doing work during that time because everybody else kind of suffered. It was like all the resources were kind of pulled into that job.
Right.
And everything was much more expensive than it should have been.
I see. That's interesting. And so what size jobs do you typically do?
Well, typically we do jobs from $20,000 to $10 million.
Okay.
And, that's the range we've been in. It seems to be our sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to continue to do that kind of work. And
mainly commercial or residential?
Mostly commercial.
Okay.
Try to stay away from residential.
Why is that?
It's just much more difficult.
Dealing with people who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
When you get involved in commercial, you're dealing with people who know what they're doing.
The expectation is, I think, a little bit unrealistic. If people want the Taj Mahal, but they only want to pay for an apartment. So.
Got it. And is it easy to get marble and things like that here?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I've traveled to China to actually buy marble curtain wall. For some of the larger products that we've done in the past.
So my hunch would be, if you are a supplier of construction materials, if somebody's in Las Vegas, you take them seriously,
Oh yeah,
as opposed to if they're in Pleasanton, California.
there are a lot of very skilled people here.
Okay, a lot of good craftsmen.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so we think that Las Vegas is the epicenter of Italian American culture today because of the construction, because of, it's like everything. So most of the people I've been talking to are in the restaurant business this month, and they'll say, we have some of the finest Italian restaurants in the world here. And now what I'm hearing you say is we have some of the finest construction companies in the world here.
Yeah.
And if they're not headquartered here, they still come in here to do projects.
Right.
So, so you plan to live here?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is our home.
Not moving back to New York?
Yeah, our sons were born here.
Okay.
We're it's like every time I go back to New York, I realize that this is where I want to be. I mean, and the weather is probably one of the biggest factors in that.
And that helps you in your business.
Oh yeah.
Too, right?
Yeah, we work year round.
Yeah.
Without fail.
And I think for the project downtown that you're doing, weren't they working some nights?
Oh yeah, we work 24/7 sometimes.
Okay. And how's the labor pool?
It's been up and down. Obviously, with the upswing in the economy, it's getting harder to find good people, but we try to keep our core guys busy all the time.
Okay, good. Well, Jim, this has been great. I want to give you one last shot. Is there anything growing up you remember? From
No,
your parents?
but I think that well, yeah, obviously my mom and my dad were big influences on me. I mean, their values, the religion, especially my mom, how she treated other people. But I think that for the most part, the one thing that I try to instill in my kids, and I tell my sister and her children, is basically to make sure that you save all the recipes from your grandparents and aunts and uncles, because that is all going away, and you're basically the shepherd and the caretaker of all that, those recipes and all of that heritage.
Great. Lastly, when you were growing up, did you call it sauce or gravy?
We call it sauce.
Okay, same with my family. Okay, good. Okay.
I don't know where gravy came from.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, world. Talk to you later.
Thank you.